Okay, great, you guys. I'm so happy. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what the hell happened. I have so many things that I wanted to discuss with you guys tonight. Oh, I need to turn this off too, just in case there's feedback. Okay, well, there's a few things. Let me look at my little list here that I wanted to talk to you about Scott's broadcast. And anyway, can you guys still hear me? Okay, the first is, and like I said, I'm so sorry, you guys. Oh goodness. This is crazy. But anyways, the first is, okay, great. The first is, um, how many of you think that there was a either one, a cataclysmic event, or number two, that we've just died individually and there's, something happening to us to where we're continuing on. I mean, I've seen like Twilight episodes and all this stuff about all this crazy stuff before. And I just was wondering, what are your opinions on all of that, you know? And then also, like, how many do you think we shift all the time? Do you think that, um, I don't know. I mean, do you think that we can shift all the time, or do you think that we do shift all the time? Or do you think that it was just a one-time thing? I mean, there's so many things to explore, isn't there? Ah, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I mean, what do you think could possibly be happening with all this, you know? But anyway, I'm so sorry about I don't know what the heck was happening with my stream earlier. I don't know why it wasn't working because it worked great the other night with Suso. So I apologize to all of you who are still here, and thank you so much for coming in and staying with me because I was like, what the heck? I don't know what's going on, and I'm so sorry. But thank you guys so much for staying with me, and I appreciate it so much. And I love you guys, and I mean, honestly, I don't know what I would do without the ME community. I mean, it, for one, I always knew that there was something different about me, but then, I've seen all these ME changes my whole life. And, I started seeing them. See, the reason that I said earlier that, and I'm trying to read the chat, but I'll have to go back because there's a lot of stuff in there. First of all, I am a Christian. I've done so many wrong things. Um, I'm sure my actions don't please God and whatever, but I tried to commit suicide when I was 13 years old. I took a whole bottle of aspirin, and I woke up the next day throwing up, and I thought, well, that didn't work. But, what if it did? What if it did? And I'm just here. I saw a Twilight Zone episode the other day about how this one, and she was, sweet, wholesome girl, just blew out a tire on the side of the road. And, there's this hitchhiker who keeps trying to take her to get her to take her places. And she's like, no. And she's so scared, And then all of a sudden at the end, she's like, trying to get other people to get her away from this guy. And then she calls her mom, and somebody else answers at her old home address or whatever. And she says, well, Mrs. Such and such has been in the hospital since her nervous breakdown over the death of her daughter. And then all of a sudden the daughter, the girl, is like, oh my gosh. And she realizes that she's dead, whatever. And I'm not saying that that is what I think. I'm thinking that it's one of the very possible things of this whole scenario that we're in. I have no idea, none whatsoever. I have many ideas, but which one's the right one? You know what I mean? Which one is the right one? Oh my gosh, you know? And so, um, I don't know. It's crazy. Um, I mean, what do we do about all this? I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. Okay, the other thing is, I mean, what if we're clones? You know? What if, just like other people have said, what if there is an individual us and the individual me remembers John Deere without an E? And then the clone or the person that came after doesn't. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I, it's hard, I mean, it's hard to figure out what we're supposed to believe or do or whatever in this, you know? And it's just, it's crazy. It's so crazy. Okay. I'm going to look at the bottom of the chat. White Rabbit. Yeah, I know. I just, obviously we have consciousness, and I think, I believe God exists, and I believe he does choose us rather than us choose him. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that. Um, Let me go back up to the beginning of the chat and see what everybody else was saying. Um, I mean, this stuff is so hard for all of us. Scott Balo, I'm looking at the beginning of the chat. Love means never having to say you're sorry. I'm realizing that more and more, because the reason I say that is I have somebody in my life that I mean, it's like a total unconditional love. And I never felt that before or had that before. And so it is pretty amazing to have that. Um, let's see what else was in the chat before that I got going. I'm so glad you guys could hear me. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to go to the end. um, they're getting more and more personal rather than everyone experience them. Dead GPK. Yes, I agree with that 100%. I think that is totally true. I think that, and why would that be? What's your hypothesis on that? I mean, why? I mean, to me, that says that there's a supernatural being in charge. You know, to me, that's what that says. You know, that God is uh, well, obviously God is in control. I mean, I believe that. That's my personal beliefs. I mean, I know a lot of you maybe not share those beliefs, but my personal beliefs are that God is always in control, even though we're like freaking out and wondering what the heck is going on right now, you know. But I do believe that God is in control for sure. Um, let's see. Michael G. Anyone else feel surrounded by people they have consumed media but never? Well, yes. And honestly, even the affected can also not care, because I will just let you in on a little secret, and I hope to get my sons on a broadcast of mine at some time. My sons and I are all affected because we all three remember the Sinbad movie. So, I mean, that's crazy, right? But they don't care. You know, they're 24 and 23-year-olds, they're young men. They're like, yeah, we realized. So they know I'm not crazy, which is a relief, you know, and great. But at the same time, they're like, we really don't care, Mom. You know, we have our lives to live. And so, you know, it's not only the unaffected that don't care, it's the affected as well. And so, you know, I don't know. Okay, Stonebender, Pet Cemetery. See, this is why I think that possibly could have this is why I think the possible dead such scenario is that I read Pet Cemetery when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and that was the same time that I took all those pills. And it's always been Pet Cemetery with an S for me. I read the book when I was 12 or 13. And see, and the same thing with a lot of people that don't see the change or changes at the same time I have. Okay, let me just tell you guys what the changes that I've seen have been, and those over like the 80s and stuff, especially. Well, first was John Deere. I knew that John Deere was DEER, and all of a sudden it was DERE. I mean, I'm a brilliant speller. It's not like I'm going to get something as simple as that wrong, you know? And then later on, I noticed these were all in the 80s because I know for a fact it happened before I was in college. But you know, Christopher, that's when, especially Sally Field, because I remember her going up for her Oscar speech and hearing the Oscar speech. And of course, that's a Mandela. She's like a double Mandela. Of course, her brother works at CERN or whatever. But anyway, you know, I remember thinking, what the heck? Her name is Sally Fields. And all of a sudden it was Sally Field, you know? So Sally Field, Christopher Reeves to Reeve, Charles Schultz to Schultz, Rod Sterling to Sterling. And there's a couple others. I can't think of what they are right now. But anyway, all those happened in the 80s for me. So to me, when people say, you know, it's CERN or whatever, now I'm not discounting CERN or D wave at all, because actually there were particle accelerators even back then. It wasn't the LHC, you know, it was something different, something rudimentary. But see, like if it was happening back then you know, it's only accelerating now. And I'm not saying that that's the cause. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just saying that there were rudimentary particle accelerators back then, and people should look into it. You know, they should look into it. But I'm trying to think of some other ones that I saw in the 80s. I'm not really sure. But I know there were some others. And, these are things that, other things that I don't agree with other people on too. Like some people say, oh, there was never krypton on the periodic table. Well, I'm not telling them they're wrong. That's from their reality. But for me, okay, I have an engineering degree. Do you not think that I've known that krypton was an element ever since I was 13 years old and studying chemistry and loved it? I mean, I loved chemistry, physics, and math. Okay. So I'm not lying to you. And, I'm not saying the other people are lying. I'm saying that I've always known krypton as an element. Always, 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 always. And so, and well, it was and a noble gas. And so, and then other things too. It's like these people are, and it's so weird. And that's the thing that I think that we need to be so aware of in the Mandela effect community is that, even though people have totally different memories than us, that doesn't mean they're wrong at all. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It's like the people, in fact, on Scott's Harrison's site or chat, he was saying how, him and I believe a lot of other people believe in 52 states, or that's what their memory is. I don't discount that all, at all. But I want to know what those other 2 states were, and nobody can give me a definitive answer. People say, "Oh, Alaska and Hawaii." Well, no. I'm wondering what the additional, and I'm not doubting them. That's not where I'm coming from. That's not where I'm coming from at all. I don't doubt what their memories are. I'm just saying it can't be Alaska and Hawaii because that's what that's part of the 50 states that we have today. I'm wondering, and then Scott had said something about like Liberty, I think is one, and then other people have said like Washington D.C., Puerto Rico, and some have even said Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati, you would think, well, what the heck? Why Cincinnati? How would that ever be possible? Well, do you know your history? I mean, because Cincinnati, and I didn't honestly, I can have my ex-husband to thank for this. My kids will be proud over this fact. But anyways, Cincinnati was and Ohio and Kentucky were border states. They didn't choose, well, Kentucky particularly. People think of it as the southern state, but if you look at it, it was an actuality. It was a state that didn't decide. They were a border state. They didn't decide, and they had a lot of underground slave movement going on, such and such and such. I mean, I lived in northern Kentucky, just right on. A lot of people don't even know that the Cincinnati airport is in northern Kentucky. It's not even in Ohio. A lot of people don't even know that. And that's not an ME. I mean, well, at least for me, it isn't. I mean, I'm not saying for other people, but for me, it's not because I mean, I lived there. And, the Northern Kentucky airport, Cincinnati airport has always been in Northern Kentucky. It's never been in Cincinnati. And so, what the heck's all that about? But anyway, getting back to the whole 52 states thing, it's like, I hope I need to give some more wrenches because I'm seeing some stuff fly by that needs to be approved. And I have a couple. But anyway, what I'm saying too is that, I don't doubt the people that have the 52 state memory at all because I hate it when people doubt me. I mean, everybody that's ME affected does, you know? I just want to know what are the names of the other 2 states that are not in existence now? I mean, I ask that all the time. And like some people have given me like some answers. Like I think I wish Scott was on here earlier, and I wish he would have stayed. I know he left because I couldn't get it together, and I so upset about that. I'm so sorry, you guys. But anyways, I just I'm like, I think he said Liberty or Columbia or something like that. And and then, like, other people have said DC, but the fact of the matter is the people who say DC and Puerto Rico, I mean, Guam is a territory, I mean, there's Virgin Islands are a territory. I mean, there's several territories. I don't get it. I'm wondering, and when you look at the map, I really think that it is those if you look at the map, and I always wondered about this even before I knew about the map. I mean, even when I was a kid, I'm like, if you look at the map at the northeast part where Maine is and stuff, and I'm not going to bring it up or anything as far as I wish I could, but I'm challenged as it was. I couldn't even get the sound going for a while. But anyways, at the northeast part of the United States, it looks like that should be part of the United States because it's kind of the rest of it is cut off. And I think that's what some people were saying is that those two areas at one time were part of the United States. And so I'm like, that makes I mean, that was not ever a part of my reality. Let me make that clear. Never a part. But it makes sense that it would be, a part of other people's realities, so I don't know. All right. So I am going to just shout out right now Cowboy, Shark K, Dead GPK, Eric Kraft, Jason Maggard, Landon Pets, Melissa K, Michael G, Mr. Mendoza QP, Raleigh, River Swept, Simon Says, Stonebender, and White Rabbit. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and thank you for putting up with my struggles earlier. I appreciate it so much. But I haven't had a real good chance other than just those names just now to look at the chat. So let me look at it just now. That's weird, Simon says, because like a lot of people from the UK says they were told 52. And so I'm wondering if they're thinking, why were they told 52? Was it was it Washington DC and Puerto Rico? What was it? That's crazy. I just, I'm wondering. Jason Maggard, are you going to be doing an hour or so a day going forward? Well, I don't know that like if I'm going to be part of Scott and MA's stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to be part of that or not. I said that I would be interested, and I gave him a couple time slots that I could do it with. So if that's the case, then yes. And if it's not the case, that's fine. No big deal. I'll just be like doing it randomly. But I'm trying to figure out all this live streaming stuff. It's only my second time live streaming, and so I hope people forgive me on all that, but I appreciate it. I've got 25 watching now. That's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm really excited that everybody is here, and excited to, it's just so cool to be a part of this community, isn't it? I mean, because, we would think that we are just going freaking nuts, or at least I would. I guess I can't speak for you guys, but I just know that I would be just going nuts over all this stuff, you know? So I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, let me look at the chat a little bit more. The things that bother me, well, the things that excite me about this world, well, they kind of excite me and scare me at the same time, is that like the manned animals and stuff. I mean, like, some of them are so pretty, so cool and so neat. And you're like, "Oh my goodness," and then some of them are kind of evil looking and you're like, "Ah," and you kind of wondering if there's like two different forces at work sometimes, you know? Are there? I don't know. But, anyway, I'm not really sure about that, but, I just, that it's kind of neat and scary at the same time, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay, now I will tell you guys. Now, I have been going through I have these storage units. And I've been trying to go through them, and I found a couple of really cool stuff that I got from I've been to Egypt. I've been to Cairo. Okay, this was 1990. It was actually the summer that Iraq invaded Kuwait. And so it was a pivotal time. And I'm trying to find pictures, find documents, find different things that I can show you guys about the way that I remember it. And, people are always saying now, the pyramids were never so close to Cairo. Well, in looking at the map now, just my personal opinion, okay, and I'm going to do a separate video on this. But in my personal opinion, Cairo has grown. Yes, they're closer to the pyramids, but they were never that far. Cairo was never that far, honestly. This was 1990, okay, and for me, okay? So different realities, different people might be different, and that's understood. But I've been to Cairo. I've been to the pyramids. I've horseback ridden, and I will show you guys a picture of me in a future video if I can find it, and hopefully I will. Of me horseback riding at the foot of the pyramids. And when people say, "Well, it was never that close to Cairo," blah 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 blah. Well, in 1990, it wasn't as close as what they show now, but it wasn't so far off the mark that it would be so wrong today. And so now, and then also when I was there, this was also the same time period, 1990. I went down to Luxor and Aswan, so I saw the Valley of the Kings, Valley of the Queens. I saw all of the stuff. Abu Simbel. I saw. Oh gosh, can't even think of it. I'm having a brain freeze right now. What the other stuff's called down there, but I saw it all, and I have pictures. And that stuff hasn't changed. Now, the three little pyramids, it bothers me. The three little pyramids that they show in front of the other pyramids, it bothers me that I don't know the answer to that. I can't say definitively, even though I have been there. Okay. And that's what bothers me sometimes about people who say, well, this was never like this and this was never like that. Well, I've actually been there. And, that scares me because how come I don't? Is it because, and I've done a video and I meant to do a part 2 and I still need to do it, but I had this one video called Change Mindless Part 1, where basically I think our brains are kind of like almost like a computer hard drive where we can only remember so much and then that's it, you know? And, oh, you guys, I mean, I haven't, normally I would be part of the chat. But I'm just kind of rambling because this is like, I'm afraid that if I don't keep rambling, that I'll run out of stuff to say. But anyways, and back in regards to the pyramids, it bothers me that I don't remember for sure whether there were those three little. I mean, I've been there. I'm one of the rare few of ME affected that have actually been to the pyramids. And I'm racking my brain trying to remember, do I remember those three pyramids being there or not? And I I cannot put I can't say for sure. I cannot say for sure. And so that bothers me because it's like, why can't I say for sure? Is it because it's well, this was I mean, honestly, this was 1990, so it was what shit. Oh shoot. I didn't mean to cuss. Was it 28 years ago? 27, well, 27 and a half years ago. Oh my gosh, where has time gone? Oh, is it because of that? Or is it because of somebody messing with my brain? Those are the questions that I think about because in regards to everything, because I'm thinking to myself, is it my own memory or is it, because it's so long ago, or is it somebody messing with my memory, you know? And so I really don't know, you know? I mean, it's crazy because I just really, really am not sure. And, I feel like I need to be honest about that. I mean, I've been there for God's sake, you know? And when I look at my pictures, I'm not going to trust it unless something looks wrong. Because when I find my pictures, believe me, if I see something that looks wrong, I'll tell you guys. But I really don't think I will. I don't think that there were the little three pyramids, but I'm not going to be 100%. I'm not going to say that 100% sure. I'm really not because it bothers me that I don't remember, but I'm not going to say. Now, listen, I got to go for a real second for a bathroom break, and I'll be right back. I hope you guys stay with me. Okay, you guys, I'm back. Can you hear me? Oh, let me know. Sorry about that. I had just couldn't waiting anymore. But anyways, yeah, that's what bothers me. And even some of my other memories regarding the Mandela effect, I'm just wondering, what can we trust? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Hi, Jumps. Okay, QP, Mr. Mendoza, Melissa K. Yay! Thank you guys so much for being here. This is only my second live stream, and I kind of messed up the first part of it. White Rabbit, thank you for being here. Sharkay, if I didn't say your name. And anybody else too. I'm gonna be looking throughout. But anyway, if you guys have any questions for Scott Balo, yay! But anyways, if you guys have any questions for me or about my experiences or anything like that, now I have kind of a technical background, so I've looked into a lot of CERN and a lot of hi cowboy. But I've looked into a lot of CERN and a lot of the D wave, the technical aspects. I put out like Mr. Mendoza, thank you for being here. I think I shouted out Stonebender. But one of the things I wanted to like, I put out a couple of videos. Like one of them is called Niobium, the quantum metal. Hardly anybody looked at that. It's so technical, but my background is actually in metallurgical engineering. And so stuff like that excites me. Because when I first heard of niobium, I'm like, what the F? I haven't heard of niobium. Is that a new metal? But then they said, well, it's also known as columbium. And so that I had heard of. But anyway, niobium is a metal that is used in so many applications for quantum physics. I mean, for CERN, for D wave, if you're interested in any of that geeky stuff, look at my video on that. I mean, if you're not, it's going to bore you to tears. I guarantee it. But, some people are interested in that, you know? And so, maybe, just look at it. And then also I had another video where, let's see what Cowboy says. Yes, White Rabbit. Yes. Well, see, I know about annealing just even from the steel industry because I worked in the steel mill for a few years. But yes. I mean, I'm into all the scientific aspects of it, but it also like if you're interested in all that, you guys look at. I mean, most of it is honestly going to bore most of the people to tears. So don't look at it if you're not. But I did a video on niobium, the quantum metal, and it has to do with how it's used in everything right now. I mean, as far as the quantum stuff, at the LHC and Fermilab that's doing stuff in Chicago and also South Dakota. And trying to think of what I was kind of had a blank right then. Maybe it's the AI messing with my brain. I don't know. But anyway, people give a bad rap to the LHC. I saw this movie, this documentary on Amazon called Particle Fever. And it's all about how the LHC was trying to find the Higgs boson and all that. I mean, I'm such a geek on this stuff, you guys. I mean, also, well, okay, as the side note, look at my video on Wheeler Feynman interpretation of quantum physics because it's really interesting and it has some very cool ramifications towards the Mandela effect, possibly. And so just, look at that and see. And I actually put a very, very short clip of the author of the physicist, that's, the father of that interpretation. And it makes a lot of sense. Like if there are parallel, I'm just saying if, because I'm not convinced. Okay. I don't know. I'm just saying if there are parallel worlds, parallel universes, um, this could be scary, with this Wheeler Feynman interpretation of quantum physics, because he's saying that like these are communicating back and forth, and they have like this handshake where they're saying that like one's going forward in time, one's going backwards in time, and if something goes awry, they're not going to mesh up. And so if something goes awry in that's a classic. I mean, that's a classic thing where the Mandela effect would occur, you know? And also, you guys, I mean, I don't know how well versed you are in, and see, that's why I'm it bothers me when people discount the quantum stuff and discount D-Wave and stuff, because D-Wave has like they're considering all these possibilities, and it's like, if it is it dead or is it alive, or is it both dead and alive, or is it neither? Well, if you look at like what we've experienced and what we've seen, you know I mean, not that we've seen Billy Graham in person now. I mean, that would be something different if you've actually seen him. Um, but obviously he's died twice now before this last time for me. Okay. I remember one of his funerals. I can't remember which one. Probably the first one, I'm pretty sure it was, but I'm not going to say 100% because I just hate to do that when I don't know for sure. But that's what the whole quantum thing is about. That's what the whole quantum thing is about. It's either like, is a person like you or I, even. It doesn't have to be Billy Graham. It doesn't have to be Nelson Mandela. Doesn't have to be anybody. It's you or I. Is this person going to be, this, if it's a computer controlling things? I'm not saying this is the case. I'm saying if this is occurring, it wouldn't be so off the mark. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Is that like if, there's all these possibilities. The person's either dead, they're alive, or they didn't exist, or they're both. And so what does that tell you about what we've been experiencing and what we've been seeing? But the problem I have with it is that like it's always been celebrities. Now I know there's other individuals that have seen. Those are the most intriguing to me. It's not the celebrities. It's the other people. It's like the people in our lives, our friends or family or people that we've heard about. Are they dead or alive? And if they come back to it, things like that. I mean, that's the scary part, is that, what? I don't know. That's crazy. Let me go back to the chat. Oh goodness. Let's see here. I'll go back a little bit. Okay, Scott Balo, yes. It's hard to trust anything other than real people. But you know what? Do you know that they're real people? I trust right now, to be honest with you, I trust people more that are Mandela affected than I do real people. But is that wise? That's a question, isn't it? Because I do. I want to be around you guys more. I want to trust you guys more. I feel like I trust you guys more. but you're not real to me. I don't know you, you know? And yet the real people in my life are, you know, not affected, or some of them are, and anyway, I wanted to tell you a story about my kids. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Great. Okay, what I was saying before we got cut off, and I'm so sorry, you guys, my internet goes out every now and then. But anyways, what I was saying before, and I don't know if you caught it, was that, as much as we think about unaffected people not caring, let me just and I don't know if I don't think you probably heard it, but what I was telling you guys is that both of my sons are affected, and they're 24 and 23. And all three of us remember the Sinbad movie. All of us do. And in fact, my older son, way before, even though I've seen these changes my whole life. I really wasn't aware of what was going on. He was researching the Mandela effect way before me. But when I ask him and my other son about it, they don't care. They don't care. They're like, at least they know I'm not crazy, which is a relief, but they don't care. And so it's not just the unaffected that don't care. It's also the affected. Sometimes they just don't care. All right, let me look at the chat real quick. Oh my goodness. Well, shoot. I'm trying to think of where. If you guys have any questions for me or anything, okay, let me just, okay, so I already told you guys about the John Deere thing, and I told you about like the name changes. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. See, well, and then I've told you about the Krypton. I mean, I've seen that forever. But a lot of these things, were from a certain point where that's why I can't discount the dead theory, because most of the changes happened after that. And so I don't, I'm going to actually, this is a whole nother topic for discussion. I'm going to do a video, and I've been researching it, and I have, okay. My background is I'm a Christian, and so people who aren't Christians are not going to care about this at all. But people who are, but I'm going to do a video on, and I've been researching, and I'm going to do it on, and I've been actually promising this for about a month or more. I'm going to do a video on the difference between hell, Sheol, and Hades. And there is a big difference. Actually, Sheol and Hades are the same thing. It's just Sheol is Hebrew and Hades is Greek. But hell, the way they do the English translation in the Bible is totally wrong. Okay? Totally, totally, totally wrong. And I'm going to actually take you back to the original Greek and Hebrew and talk about some of this stuff, because this stuff is important, even from just like a historical standpoint, even if you want to know, because, even though I'm a Christian, I'm still interested in all the Sumerian. I mean, because even my son, even my sons, it pains me to say that they're probably not what you would traditionally call Christians. And I took them to a Christian school, and I homeschooled my kids. Okay. Which it didn't hurt him. I mean, my son is in a master's program, full ride for master's degree in computer science, and my older son got a degree in accounting. So I'm not saying homeschooling is for everybody, but I homeschooled my kids, not the whole time. I mean, but about 5 years of their lives I did. They've gotten like a mix. They've gotten a mix of private, public, and homeschooling. But anyway, my whole point is that it bothers me that even my own kids who were brought up in this stuff, they don't believe the same as I do anymore. And that's fine, because honestly, I believe that the Bible even says that it's basically God's job to bring people to himself. And so I'm kind of giving that up to God. I'm just saying, God, this is what you said. And I don't have a Bible in front of me right now, but I know there's a verse that says it's basically his job to bring people to himself. And so I don't have to worry about that. I kind of did my part, you know? But, you guys, this chat is flying by, and honestly, I can't go back and look at it right now, but afterwards I'm going to look at everything that everybody said, and then I'll try to get back with everybody on stuff because it's important for me to hear what you're saying and to see what you're saying and to get back with you, but I can't do it necessarily right this minute. um, but what was I talking about? Anyway, I feel like it's God's job to do that, and I feel like I did my job, and I don't have any qualms about that. I feel like God's going to bring them to him no matter what, you know? But like even my older son or my younger son, I have two. He has full ride for his master's and PhD for computer science, and he's studying artificial intelligence. He's telling me at this point, I want to live forever. If I can't live forever, I want to put my consciousness, my brain into this world or whatever. And I'm like, my heart just sunk when I heard that. I mean, at the same time, how do we know that we didn't do that already? How do we know that we didn't do that already? You know? And maybe that's why we're here. Maybe that's what our condition is. Who knows? So, I don't know. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. This world and this life that we're finding out about. I mean, it just changes every day, doesn't it? I mean, it changes every single day, and it's the technology. I mean, I have an engineering degree, for crying out loud, and I'm scared by it. You know, scared by it. But I don't know. We're all in this together for sure. And you know, it's I don't know. It's scary, but at the same time it's, you know, for some people it's really really exciting. To me it's I wish it was. I'm trying to find that part of it. You know? Um I'm not saying it's horrible or bad. I'm saying it's strange and disconcerting to me. That's how I feel. And so, you know, I'm just not real sure about how everything is going down. How can you be sure? Oh, Dominic! Yay! I'm glad you're in. Love you. Let me see. I'm going to give you a wrench. I haven't been able to keep up with you chat, you guys. I'm going to have to go back through all this. Okay, Scott asked somebody if they'd had an NDE. Well, you're not asking me, but I have, and that's what I think MA is trying to get at, is like a lot of us in common. What have we had in common? And I think that is a lot of what we've had in common. I think I could have died like 4 or 5 or 6 times, honestly, if you want to, when truth comes down to it. So I don't know. Um, so I know, Scott Balow, you think what you have a hard time pinpointing a specific time. Um, I can think of several times where I could put it out there. Um, for me. Let's hear it. Well, there's several. I told you one where it's when I was 13 and I took an aspirin bottle because a friend of mine, committed suicide, so I took a whole aspirin bottle, and that's when I started seeing the changes. And see, that's why I was only 13. So this was like 19. I was born in 67, so 82 or something like that. And then I started, McDonald's went to Mick, and then the whole Sterling, Schultz, Reeves, Field, all those changed I know they changed in the 80s for me because it was before I went to college. And I remember Sally Field's Oscar speech and thinking, what the heck? Her name's Fields. What? And they're like, no, it's just Field. And, it's just like, what? But you don't think about that. I mean, there was no internet in the 80s. Well, there was like a rudimentary stuff between universities, you know, but that's it. And so I don't know. I just don't know. It's craziness. And then there was other things. There's other stuff where I was so tired coming home from Pensacola. This is when I lived in the South. I was coming home from Pensacola going to the Mobile area, and I was so tired. I was so tired. And, I ended up going in the ditch. I think I possibly could have died then. Um, there was the time where, also in Pensacola, Florida, I woke up. I was driving home and I just woke. I don't know how else to say it. I wasn't asleep, but I just woke up, whatever you want to call it, in this basically an army or some kind of military base. And there's lots of military bases in Pensacola, but some kind of military base in Pensacola. And they're like, what are you doing here? I mean, like they were surprised that I was there, that I snuck in or something. And I'm like, I don't know. I said, can you direct me to the interstate for Mobile? And they showed me the way. And then the craziest part about that is that I know where I was and where they directed me to. And when I look back on that, it shows that there's nothing there but maybe just trees, basically. And so that has always freaked me out as well, because I'm like, what happened to me there? You know? So I don't know. I mean, it can be very, very, very crazy. Okay, I'm trying to get to the chat again. Okay, Sharkay says, I'm pretty sure if I've died before I threw up on my sleep and some. Yeah, well, that could have happened to me a couple different times too, but to be honest, I didn't even mention that. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. Cowboy, I've died many times in my dreams. Yeah. All this stuff is just so strange, isn't it? Eric says I ended up in a dish a few times or more. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, there was one time where I was going home from Ohio to Colorado to my dad's funeral, and ended up, hitting a patch of black ice and spinning out. And, I wonder if something didn't happen then too. So, yeah, this stuff is just, that's what I think. Are we supposed to research it? Are we supposed to just throw up our hands? Are we supposed to? Let's see. Scott Baylor, I think the weirdest thing about being affected is I feel a very different person. Yeah. I think for me, sometimes I feel like a different person, and then also sometimes uh, I just want to forget everything. I just want to just check out, just like, this is too much. How can anybody handle this? It's too much. And so I think that happens to a lot of us. Okay, let's see. I haven't had a lot of chance to see the chat because I've just been rambling and like thinking. Interested in time travel, parallel dimensions. I'm wondering if it is time travel or not, because the reason I say that is because of retro causality. Is it a time travel thing, or is it where they just manipulate time to where everything goes back to where everything changes? The butterfly effect or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. How can you? The only thing I'm trying to think of what I can discount as a cause for this. What can we discount? I'm not really sure if we can discount anything. And that's what's crazy is we just can't discount anything. I don't know. Can you guys discount anything? I'm trying to think. Let's see. There's time travel, cloning, multiple worlds. We're dead. What else is there? um, oh, Raleigh, thank you for coming in. I'm sad you have to go, but thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Yeah, but what do you guys tell me if you can put it in the chat? What do you guys think are like your primary things that you think are going on and the ones that you've personally ruled out? Because I don't know that I've ruled out almost anything, to be honest. Hi, Michael Archer. Welcome. I haven't seen you in the chats before. Why don't you give us your background? Not to put pressure on you or anything. But I really thank you guys because, honestly, this whole stuff is just so Crazy. So crazy. I don't know. Candied cupcakes. I'm going to give you a wrench. You guys, please don't be offended if I don't give you a wrench. It's just that, I know people who like I've interacted with and stuff quite a bit, and also people who have like interacted on my channel and stuff. And so, it's not like I'm trying to snub anybody. So please don't be offended, because I'm not thinking that way at all. So just to let you know, I love all of you so much, and thank you for listening and being here for sure. Trying to think. Oh, let me look at. I had a little list here. Where'd it go? Because I had some other stuff I wanted to talk about too. If I can read my own writing. Oh, here's one. I mean, most of you guys probably are not going to even care about this or know about it necessarily. I shouldn't even bring this up, but I don't know if any of you guys have heard about like all the scientists dying, like natural healers and also NASA scientists and also people associated with CERN and stuff. I mean, do you think there's any conspiracy involved with that? Okay, and also this is a very important question for Americans, okay? But when did Thanksgiving move from the third Thursday to the fourth Thursday? When did that happen? What? I want to know what year that happened because I remember it happening and thinking, WTH, what the heck? But when was that exactly? Can anybody pinpoint that down? Because that's very important to me. Also, I wanted to bring up, well, I had this written down. I have like a few things written down on my list, but like I remember there was a certain point where I've never had like anxiety in my life ever. Until caveat, um, about 2012, 2013, something around there. And I would go to work or just even be at home before work. And I would just like almost I would drive. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I've never done this before. I was so upset about just whatever. And I couldn't figure it out. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a new thing for a lot of people or if it just happened around that 2012. Now I'm not, what do you guys think about the 2012 time frame? Because, I'm not really sure about that. I I don't think any of us felt a change. But does that mean nothing happened? Of course not. That doesn't mean nothing happened. So I don't know. You know, just not sure. Um, I well, let me just tell you a little bit about my conspiracy theory background. On 9/11, I knew that day that there was something not right. I mean, I didn't have to look at YouTube videos. I didn't have to look at anything. I knew that day because the reason I knew that day was because I didn't see any plane wreckage at the Pentagon. I didn't see any plane wreckage in the field in Pennsylvania. Um, I knew that day something was wrong. Uh, I mean, because I kept waiting for it. I kept waiting for him to show the footage, and they never did. They never did. And then later on, this is when it used to be online, which you cannot have access to this now. It was something called the Social Security Death Index. And I looked up, my dad, because he had died in 1993. I looked up Elvis and Michael Jackson. They were all in the Social Security Death Index. You know who wasn't in the Social Security Death Index? And this was like maybe a year after 9/11. Was Ted Hughes's wife, whatever her name was, supposedly died in the Pentagon. And also JFK Jr.'s, his name wasn't in there, and his wife's name wasn't in there. And that didn't have anything to do with 9/11, but I'm just saying as a for instance. And then also, another person who was not in there was the guy that said, "Let's roll." I can't remember his name even. But his name was not in the Social Security Death Index. And so all those I knew, like the year after 9/11 happened. And then whenever JFK Jr. and his wife, I'm not sure, I can't remember the year, but it was, kind of around that same time frame. I can't remember if it was before or after. Don't hold me to it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I know that I looked that stuff up because I could find my dad's easily. I could find my grandpa that had died easily. I could find, even Elvis and Michael Jackson at that time. Now you cannot find that index online. Why is that? Why can't you find that? I don't know. Something to consider. But I don't know. Okay, what's going on, Scott? We'll do a hangout or Skype. But anyway, no, thanks you guys so much for sticking with me on this because I know that it was a pain at the first. I don't know what the heck happened because it was so easy the first time I did it. But thanks for keeping up with me. I think I'm going to go ahead and get off here now though, because I have some things to do and stuff. But I appreciate every one of you so much. And thank you so much for being with me. And thank you for hanging out with me. And I just appreciate every one of you. And I just want everybody to know that hopefully we'll always have each other. And that's the most important thing, right? That we have each other to connect with. So have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.